to the February 21st, 2023. I thought I admitted Kurt. Oh, well.
You did. He's here.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can see I'm still getting a admit Kurt, so who knows? Okay, welcome to the February 21st, 2023 Winchester Planning Board meeting. We are being recorded. Thank you, WinCam. And oh, I'm sorry, I had better start recording here. Hold on a sec. Record to the cloud.
Recording in progress.
So we are being recorded. If you do not wish to appear, please mute your mic and turn off your video. We do have a quorum. I'm going to do a roll call. Nick Rosettos.
Present.
Kurt Spring.
Present.
I Ching Scott.
Present.
Sally Dale.
Present.
And I, Dee Jarius, am also present. We have with us this evening our recording secretary, Nancy Polcari, and our assistant town engineer, Brian Mantor, along with a couple of regulars, Richard Lee from the Chamber of Commerce. So my brain's a little slow this evening, so I apologize ahead of time. So let us jump right into the updates. The only update I have written down right now is that so when this is on 10 Converse, as you may recall, the Concom denied their permits under both the state laws, Wetlands Protection Act, and also a Winchester bylaw. My understanding is that the developer had, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on their name. The developer is appealing to DEP first, and pending the outcome of that, they will, in order to the appeal against the Concom's decision based on Winchester's bylaws, actually to take the town to court to file suit against the town. So my understanding is they're going to go through the administrative DEP process first. We are having the next meeting of the MBTA, the MBTA Multifamily Community Zoning Act, also known as Section 3A. We're going to have our next meeting this week. And that will hopefully be an update from our consultant, Jen Goldson et al., about their initial look at how we can tweak our zoning to come into compliance. I expect that will be a pretty, I don't know that they've gotten into a lot of detail on that yet.
She hasn't given us any details yet, has she?
No, she hasn't. We might get a few more details. I know that they've been working with engineering to get all the GIS files in. So that's pretty preliminary. So there's not much to report on that.
Yeah, when's the meeting about the 3A?
Why don't I look that? I think it's actually, I think it's still in the air. It's sometime this Thursday, maybe.
Okay.
I think it's at the end of this week, but it had to get canceled from last week, and so.
Oh yeah, I have a 10 o'clock hold. That's right.
And
okay.
So it's last I heard, it was all over the place in terms of where people would. So I don't know exactly when that's being held. It's a working group, so it's not a publicly posted meeting.
Right. Okay. Good. Thanks.
Let's see, and that's all that my brain can handle right now in terms of remembering any updates. Is anything? Any updates from all y'all, Sally?
I have an update. Diab, you sent around this reminder from MAPC that they have this database called Mass Builds, and that we have not updated our contributions to that database since I think 2021, which doesn't surprise me. It's been such a tumultuous time. But I said I would take a look at coming up with what goes into that database. And what I see is it's a list of all of the projects that are in Winchester that are projected, planned, broken ground, or it's topped off and finished construction. So the ones that are in the database now that are topped off and finished construction, what did I say? There was two. I forget what they are now.
Elmwood, is Elmwood one of them?
No, but it's a big project, and I will see if I can't make a time to meet with Brian Manter, because you might know some things, and with Al Weil, and then just dig around in the documents on the town website to find all the other data. It's a lot of detailed data, but I'll be working on that, and I would love to have one of the other people on the planning board partner with me on this,
Yeah, that would be great.
because it's, there's
Does
like,
anyone think they'll have some time? I would imagine this wouldn't take more than a few hours.
Sally, I've been interested in learn, kind of seeing where that data would be with new builds, including single family. too.
yeah, right, exactly. And
Yeah.
this is where it goes. It's
I'd
called
be happy
mass,
to look at it with you.
mass builds. Iching, I would love to partner with you on this. So that's great. I
Okay,
will
so
reach out.
so the caveat is that the deadline for this was last Wednesday. I did reach out to the person running the show and explained that we are without town planner, and he said that they could make some accommodations for getting data to them. But we probably don't want to hold out for too many weeks, so.
No,
Yeah.
I think if we can find a work plan that gets us through this quickly, Iching, we can make the pain brief.
Okay. I can pass along what he told me about getting an account on the system and such. It's pretty straightforward.
Oh, I set up an account for myself,
Did
and I linked it to, they said, it asks, are you a member of a town board? And I said, yes.
Did you use which email address?
And
did you use?
I used my Winchester email address.
Okay, yep, that was the advice I was given, was to
Right.
use that, and it's a lot easier than
Right.
if you use yeah, they'd sort of do automatic, they moderate things, and if you come from an email address like that, then okay, so
Yes, good,
why don't
thanks.
we, thank you.
I just had I had a question about the master plan implementation committee.
Sure.
And I may have missed the conversation, but I wanted to I was thinking about it. And what are some of our hopes and dreams for this committee? What are we looking for it to do? I mean, in
So
short, I mean,
in short, it's to track and measure our progress towards achieving the goals of the master plan.
are we
to-
hoping to get like large building projects or large zoning projects to come out of it?
No, we're just going to go through the 65 strategies and tally how far along we are in terms of, it's sort of it's a map of where we are, how far we've come, where we have to go. It's letting other boards and committees understand their place in the process. Recording what progress they've made unbeknownst to themselves, because they
Mhm.
may not realize where they fit in,
Sure.
cheerleading the process and providing a report to town meeting. So
Great.
if this board decides to take action based upon master plan implementation committee's analysis, then that would be great.
Mhm.
But
Great, thanks.
that would be up to any of the boards, since it's a purely advisory committee. It's up to the other boards and entities in town to move forward.
Mhm.
So the word
Thanks.
implementation is really a misnomer. It's an
Mhm.
advisory committee, but
Sure.
somehow we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And whose brainchild was it to set up the committee?
oh, this is part of what you do to get a master plan moving. This is part of the
Okay.
standard. It takes many different forms.
Yep.
But it's part of the standard sort of thing you do. If you want your master plan to actually be more than a piece of paper on a shelf,
Sure.
you create such a committee. So this is pretty standard.
Yep.
But as you can imagine, with 352 different communities in Massachusetts, they all look just a little different.
Right,
Yeah,
and
that
I
makes
would just
sense.
add on to what Diab said to say that the Master Plan Implementation Committee is a group of people who are keeping alive I don't even know, 5 years of work of community
Mhm.
meetings that it took to come up with that document, and keep the vision and the ideas and the strategies alive so that we can go back in some set period of time, which is presumably 2030,
Yep.
and say, yep, this is how far we got. Good for us. Carry on.
Okay, so
Great.
we
Thanks.
do have a public hearing at 7:30. But we do have a set of meeting minutes that we want to go through.
All right.
But it's my computer rather says 7:27.
So does
So I
mine.
don't know. I think what we might do is maybe do one and then come back after our public hearing and do another. So
Sounds good.
why don't we look at, this is Friday, January 13th, an auspicious day and date.
I have edits on the first page only, and I have no other edits on those or the other minutes. So I can tell you what they are now, or we can come back to it after the hearing.
Why don't you tell it to us now, and then we can
Okay.
go this one through.
January 13th, first page, under the job posting and position description for town planner, Chair Jerry is speaking. So the last sentence takes up the last 4 lines of the paragraph, and I just wanted to break it into 2 sentences. So the first sentence would say, description that was rewritten by the planning board to be more, oh no, excuse me, it's a really long sentence, but it should end at executional level. I'm sorry, if you zoom in on that, I Ching. And then, oh no, it already was fixed. Oh, this is great. I'm looking at an old copy. We saw these minutes once before. The executional level details are to be included.
Okay,
Yeah, that was fixed. And then down below, does it say on Ms. Dale? It was noted, no, yeah. It was noted that a position description is not intended to be, yeah, these are done. Great.
okay.
Done.
Any other comments on the February 13th minutes? Hearing none, I would welcome a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Sally,
Aye.
I Ching,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. Can we squeeze one more in? What's our next one? I have
Let's
1
take a look.
minute until 7:30. So this is for Thursday, January the 19th. Any concerns or corrections? Hearing none, I welcome a motion to approve the minutes for January 19th, 2023.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. I Ching,
Aye.
Sally,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. Thank you much. I don't recall if we have another one. Do we have another one? We have one for the 7th. Let's just get through this. I think we can do this. Any comments or corrections on minutes for February 7th, 2023? If not, I welcome a motion to approve the minutes for February 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Second, roll call vote, please. Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Sally,
Aye.
I Ching,
Aye.
and Diab says aye as well. Thank you. That takes us all. Thank you, as always, Nancy Okari, our recording secretary, for the excellent minutes.
Yes. Agreed.
So at this time, we're going to start. We're going to open. We will vote very shortly to open our hearing on CBD petition CBT 17 at 1016 Mount Vernon Street in the Center Business District. This is coming before us for a special permit to construct a third floor addition on an existing two-story building. This will include design review for the exterior work. The parcel contains 3,700 square feet. Is located in the East Core subzone of the Center Business District. So I would welcome a motion to enter into this hearing.
I move that we open the hearing of the 1016 Mount Vernon Street CBD petition 17.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Sally,
Aye.
Yi Ching,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. So thank you all.
I have
Welcome.
a question on this. Are we voting today on this, or is it going to be
No,
continued?
no, we will be continuing this hearing. There's, let me first go through the intro and then I'll dive into the details.
Great.
So, welcome everyone to this public hearing. This meeting is being recorded. I believe I have stated the purpose of the public hearing already. We will have time set aside for public comment. I will call upon you. Please raise your hand via Zoom, and if you can't raise your hand via Zoom, wave madly at your screen. When you are asked to speak, please provide your name and your address and your connection to this project, if any. Please keep your comments concise, and if someone else has, if there's time, we'll come back to you. But if someone else has already made your point, please please be considerate of time. Sorry, I apologize again. My brain is on slow motion this evening. So first of all, the town clerk is coming in. Who the heck is the town clerk's office? The person who's coming in is the town clerk's office. Could you identify yourself, please?
It might be Julie.
Okay. Well, we'll continue. We'll go into that.
Deb, it's
Yes.
Julie Raymond Schneider.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I have Zoom I use Zoom for the DRC, so I can't log on without being through their, through that account.
Okay, no problem. Just so we know, if you speak, then our recording secretary will translate town clerk into Julie Raymond Schneider. Thank you. Okay, who is here for the proponent? Mr. Levitt, you are here, I see. Anyone else on your team?
John McConnell,
Okay,
and that's it.
okay, so
Yeah, I don't see Mr. Levitt here in my Zoom screen.
John Levitt.
Oh, there he is. Yep. Hi, John.
Hi.
Sorry. How could I miss you?
Okay, so the way we'll do this is we give the proponent the time to present the project. Then we will go through any memos and letters that we've gotten from other boards, or I'm sorry, from the public. Then typically we go through comments from town staff and other boards. This is the point where I have to say mea culpa, and that we were very late in sending out notices to other boards because it was a miscommunication between us and the town planner, who just came in 3 days before he left, and both of us thought that the other was doing the work, so it fell through. So my great apologies to all the other boards. We will be continuing this meeting until another time, so that all the other boards will be able to provide their comment. We have gotten some responses, and we'll read those into the records. So why don't we, and at that point, we're going to have public comment. And I think the next time we meet, we may go through this we may loop through this again in case there is
Yes.
more public comment.
Good.
So why don't I turn this over to Mr. Levitt and his team? And if you have a presentation,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Levitt. I live in Winchester, 153 Cambridge Street. I've been before you folks a couple of times so far. So I guess we're attempting to put a third floor on 1016 Mount Vernon Street. I am the manager of the LLC. I have John McConnell, who is my consultant on the project. He's an historical architect. And John, maybe you might be able to discuss with them in reference to the building and what we're trying to achieve.
Sure. Do we have images that we can share?
Yes.
Would you like me to share those with everyone, or do you have something to share?
Sure. A picture's worth 1,000 words here.
We have him.
So Diab, do you want to allow him?
You disabled us from, oh, you can share them, whatever. I mean,
They've got to, but enable sharing.
you get enabled and sharing out.
Diab, you're on mute.
oh, sorry, apologies. I was saying that I'm about to make Mr. McConnell a co-host, and you should be able to share.
I don't have the drawings.
I do, Mr. Levitt.
Like I said, my brain's moving slow. Sometimes it moves backwards too.
So Diab, are you making John a host? Yeah, now I see it. Okay.
Yes, everybody is a co-host at this point. With great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, so here's where we start, John.
Well, so this is an old view of the building.
Sure.
Not exactly the original building. The leftmost oriel window on the front facade was a later addition. There was just a plain window there at one point. But the point of this is to see it in conjunction with its neighbor, which is the old Lyceum building here, with its third story and its attic above that, showing prominently above our building. That, of course, went away in a big fire. The building has been renovated and is now 2 stories, but retains the ability to put back something in the envelope of what had been lost earlier there. So it's a good possibility of a third floor on this building at some point in the future. That's the point of looking at this old photograph here. So here's what we propose. My part in all of this is to act as a kind of an exterior consultant to Mr. Levitt to try and see how we could go about adding another story to this building and still retaining the architectural integrity of the structure. And after looking at it for quite a while, my conclusion was that the third story should be treated as what in architectural history we call an attic story from Attica in Greece, which is a story that's above the principal cornice of the building. And here we see precisely that. The existing building has a very prominent and very beautiful cornice here. And so the story above that would be considerably shorter than the second story here. And in effect, the existing cornice would be retained and become just below the sill level of the new windows there. The fenestration repeats the pattern of the fenestration below it, substituting double windows for the oriels on the second floor. And then a more modest cornice at the top of that building. And with a simulation, with the same material, brick on the outside, and some white trim around the window, mimicking what there is below here. So that's the basic idea, is to end up with a structure that for all intents and purposes would appear to have always been that way. And I think this is the sort of the best way we can do that.
Excuse me, John, this is one version. And then we did the version of the brick, which this is the version of the brick.
Yeah, it's same thing, same color.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I can think of to say at this point.
Is he on mute? I don't.
Sorry. So would you like to go through the interior layout so we can see the number of units, any additional elevators, things like that?
Yes, I can go through
And the number, yes, please.
from the basement to the third floor. So this is the existing conditions. This is the side view. The first one was the front view. If I move forward, this is the front view. No, that's not existing conditions. That's
That's an earlier scheme.
yes,
The round medallions in it.
correct. This is what it would look like finished, a finished elevation. Now I got to get to starting from the basement. This is the basement, starts with an elevator in the basement.
Is
Second,
that existing or is that new?
no, that would be new.
Okay.
Which there's a second means of egress in the back of the building. I'm trying to separate the residential from the commercial, which would be on the first floor. Then I can go to the first floor retail. This is the first floor retail. Now, I don't know whether or not anyone realizes, but in the basement, there used to be offices in the basement of this building many years ago. And there was an entrance from the side down into the basement, which that illustrates it in here. Now, this is the retail first floor. I'll come over to the second floor. This is existing with just making a staircase in the back. Existing 5 units right now. This is what exists.
And on this plan that you're showing in the dark lines, the things that are changing
Yes.
for this
we have-
proposal, and that includes the Oriel windows facing the 2 streets. Those are new,
No,
they're
No,
existing.
yes.
that's existing.
Those are skinny lines that are so close together that they look dark, but
Roger, got it. Thank you.
they aren't.
And so the 5th unit is up against the back of the building, the top of this drawing. And
Correct.
Is that being modified in order to put the elevator in?
To put the stairs in. The existing unit
Right.
encompasses the elevator. There's a wall there, a brick wall, and that wouldn't be touched. It would just be sheathed and put over the wall. And then the back entrance for the stairs, that's what would change right there.
Okay, and so that unit is going from, do you have an idea of what the size of that unit is before and after?
Yeah, if we have the existing conditions of the second floor, I don't know if we have that.
Yeah, it's a minor point. I'm just writing notes down.
I would say you're talking within 50 feet difference, positive, negative.
Okay,
Yeah, here it is. No, we don't have that plan. Okay.
And then I come to the third floor. And basically, as I explained before, that the rear of the building is set back 7 feet from the 8 Winchester Place and 7.9 feet where the actual footprint of the building wraps around on Winchester Place. Then it comes in, then it but the existing, in other words, you're gonna have a long one bedroom to the left-hand side. Now you're gonna have in other words, laundry room, trash. Then you go to, there's only 4 units up here.
Okay, so you're adding 4 units.
Correct.
And the laundry room, that will be for both the second and third floors use?
Correct.
And
And,
the trash disposal will be for second and third floor use?
Yes.
okay,
We might be able to get something in the basement. We're still working on that to get it in the basement, but that's one way or another, we have to have space for trash.
and will there be, is there any storage in the basement for these units?
Yes, yes, there'll be, in the basement, there'll be 200 square feet per unit.
Good boy.
And then we got the roof line, which you have skylights in every unit. Again, you can see the setback and then the roofs below.
Would you mind going back to the previous one, please?
Certainly.
Is
Okay,
there access to that roof in the back from the third floor, or is that? I'm wondering if this is a possible amenity you could have for the residents in terms of some sort of a deck or something back there.
I was discouraged not to do that because
Okay.
I don't want to interfere into the people in back of me.
Okay.
Just a place. They have all the windows for that building are right there.
Okay.
Do you have, can I ask a question or are we still?
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
So I'm just so confused when I look at the color elevations, the photographs. I'll just hold up the one I'm looking at and you can find it in your things. These 2 green doors, this one here is supposedly, right. So that green door on the right butts up against your immediate neighbor. But you said there was a 7-foot setback. So I'm really confused.
Up above
No.
the green door,
Oh, it's a setback above the green door.
from
Okay,
the second floor up, yes.
now I understand. Right.
So,
Right here.
okay, yeah, this is a little confusing. So what you're saying is that the third floor will actually occupy the same footage as, it will cover the entire second floor.
The
Except-
footprint of the second floor, correct.
Okay.
Only there's like 7 feet by 30 feet
Is
is where the setbacks, so we won't intrude on the 8 Winchester Place building.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's, I'm trying to see if there's some way of showing that isn't as confusing, because,
We can show it from the roof. I'll show
Yeah.
you from the roof. So you can see it. When this was
Yeah.
the existing conditions right here. Now you see the blank space?
yes,
That right there is the 7.9 feet.
and is there an actual roof which extends above it, as is shown in this diagram?
No, that's not a roof. There's a roof 30 feet in, 40 feet in. It goes to the existing footprint of the building. I gotta bring you to the,
Oh, I see. That roof, Diab, is in the distance over the modified second floor apartment. John, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's way, way back.
Yes, yes, I see.
Okay, so that is, yeah. We need to find some way of showing that better, just because, I keep thinking,
from the roof.
I keep thinking that you have an actual roof that you could use as an amenity,
Right,
but you
right.
don't. There's just open space there.
You see
Yeah.
this?
There-
right?
There you go. That's the one that shows it. The shaded area is the roof below.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it's the space, this is a basement plan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move up a story.
One
There's-
story
there's-
up, hold on.
First floor.
It doesn't show it.
Come,
second
there you
There
go.
we
That
go.
shows it right there.
That
That shows
shows it right there. Okay.
So it would be helpful if you could do a dotted line of where that below might be, so that we can see that that is it recedes of the first floor footprint. Right?
Yeah, yeah. If you were to, I don't
It
think we
might-
can.
It
Yeah,
might show in the third floor plan. There's the dimension. The thin line at the top is the wall of the abutting building.
Right. So it'd be helpful on the second floor to show that line also.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Whoa.
to me, this, when I look at this, I see it looks to me as if you have a solid or a uniform plane going at that level across, when in fact, to the right, it actually goes down a story.
correct.
Okay, so that's why you can't use that as a wonderful little deck, because you would be levitating.
That is so true.
Okay.
Or it would be a very dark deck.
It could be a bit, yes, one of the two, but, or both. Okay,
Can I ask a question
yeah.
on floor two? Floor
Okay,
two,
Let me get
Go
the-
back, yeah.
um. Floor two, it seems like there on the upper left is an exit, second means of egress perhaps. Where does
That's
that lead to if it's on the second floor?
Goes to the building adjacent to me, which there's a ladder. There's a deck, then it goes down.
So is that the second means of egress? Is that means, no, because there's stairwells here. And there's stairwell to the right of the building. So is that a third means of egress?
That's the second means of egress for the existing building and the second means of egress for the entire second and third floor.
But now that you've created this new stairwell, you wouldn't need that ladder down, right? I mean, it seems like a,
Unless
No,
Tiny
you
way.
still need that. You still need that.
the only other entrance to the building would be from the first floor, correct?
Correct.
So there's a single entrance on the first floor. And then this would be the second, and this is a shared, you share this with your neighbor? Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
No, okay. It would be really helpful to understand,
okay, I gotta get back to the
yeah,
first
because
floor plan.
you have a zero property line. and
That's
it look-
correct.
And it looks like you're either opening up through their wall.
Let me get back to the first floor plan. The first floor plan, as you can see, you come in through the existing door, and you would come in up through the elevator to the second floor. The existing second floor, in other words, there's a door where the stairs come up to the second floor. Do you see where I'm talking? There's a door there right now.
Okay,
So that door would be eliminated and it would be moved over, and I would make the residential entrance one, and I'd make the commercial entrance another.
okay.
And you're keeping the two green doors on the outside, the one that goes to the previous offices in the basement, right?
Correct,
And so the basement is accessible both from inside and from outside.
correct. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the aluminum door back to the original state of the building of the door that's there for the entrance to the second floor. I'm
I
taking out.
didn't understand what you just said. I'm sorry.
There's an aluminum door there now. Okay,
Where
the existing entrance,
John McConnell arrow is?
yes. where
Okay.
my arrow is, correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna be changing that door to the door style that is the existing door style to the second floor. There's a door right there where my arrow is. That's going to be changed. Now, that's clearly viewed in the existing conditions. Maybe I'll come to the existing conditions for you so you'll understand better. No, that's that's where I want it. That's the existing conditions right now.
Oh, I see. When you say aluminum door, you mean the one that looks like an office lobby entrance?
Correct.
Okay.
So, I'm still a little confused as to where that egress door on the second floor ends up. And so,
It ends up where the aluminum door / office entrance is. The same style door.
okay, no, can we go to the second floor, please? I think there might be a little miscommunication.
Mhm.
So in the upper left of this diagram, there's a door which seems like it goes towards the Lyceum building.
It does, but it's beyond the Lyceum building.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is if I could share my screen just a minute. And so what I've got is I've got a Google map up. And let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen in the Google Maps.
Yes.
Oh, great, okay. I see
And
it.
so right in this upper left corner is where it looks like that door on the second floor comes out. And it looks like it goes out onto this roof.
Correct, which there's a ladder.
And that roof is, who owns that building?
That is owned by 8 Winchester Place. Well,
Okay.
Larry Murray is one of the managing.
Okay, so it's, I'm just, so this is, you are using the roof of the neighboring building as part of your emergency egress from this second floor.
And where's the ladder, if you can point or describe where it is?
At the end of this building.
So it's right around here?
Right around there, yeah.
Right there, okay.
Okay, so as long as your neighbors don't mind you using their roof, I guess it's okay.
Well,
That's all.
that's existing conditions for,
Yep.
for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I don't know anything about the legality of easements for, I guess it's an easement for egress. We'll just want to make sure that we note it. Egress goes across neighbor's roof.
And that's an existing, that egress has existed since the third floor of the Lyceum building burned down, because obviously they didn't have a door into the third floor when it was there.
I think this back of the building to the left-hand side of me,
Yeah,
probably only 50, 70 years old.
Only.
Well, I'm sorry. We're talking these two buildings were 130
Yeah.
years.
No, I get it. Yeah, so let's just make sure that, so that's something we have to be careful of to make sure that is, I don't know anything about the what needs to be done to ensure that you have maintained access to that because you have extra units. I don't know. Something to note.
right.
Okay, egress goes across neighbor's roof. Okay, so I'm going to stop screen sharing so you can go back to your display. And I think that, so we have 4 units, and do you have a table of the square footage of the new units, or can we read them off of here?
You can read them off of there.
Yeah, so. Yikes, not with my eyesight.
I can see it on the paper here, but
Why don't you go ahead and read that into the record, Sally, if you. need to.
so starting from the top left where we were talking, oh, let's see. Okay, first, there's the second floor. Yeah,
No,
second
let's
floor
go-
plan. So from the top,
We want to go to the third floor plan.
oh, third
Just
floor. Sorry.
the new
Yes,
unit.
yes.
So
yes,
let's
yes,
look
yes.
at unit number.
Third floor plan. So the first unit, the one closest to the Lyceum building,
And that has a number on it.
it's called unit 5, unit 9.
Okay,
is 457 square feet.
okay,
And then heading towards Town Hall, Unit 8 is 519 square feet. And then heading towards Town Hall, Unit 7, looks like it's 399 square feet. And then the one that is right on Winchester Place, looks like it's 443 square feet. And these all look like one bedroom units to me.
okay.
Yeah,
The one up in front is a 2-bedroom.
I don't think that would go, I'm
So
gonna-
unit 8 is a two, yeah, unit 8 is a 2-bedroom, you're right. That's 519.
okay. I think that, whatever, okay, it says what it says on the.
That's
page.
what it says on the drawing.
I understand. I
Right,
understand.
right.
Yeah, someone might turn that into a sitting room or
Exactly.
whatever they call them these days. Okay, so is there anything else that you wanted to show us present to us about this project? You do need to, so the things that we have to get into at some point are the waivers you're going to need to move this forward. And again, my brain isn't working this evening, but I think certainly one of them is you're going to need a parking waiver.
Yep.
There may be an FAR waiver. And I have to look that up.
When you say I need a parking waiver,
There's a certain minimum amount of parking required per unit. So you have a pre-existing set of units where you have no on-site parking. And so for every new development in the center business district, one of the things is that you are required to have a minimum amount of parking. I think for your location, because you're within so
within
many
500
feet.
feet of the, 750 feet of the. Of
The train station,
train
yeah.
station.
Yeah, so there is a minimum number. Let me take a look at the bylaws and regulations here.
If it's the same as 10 Commerce, I think it was 0.75.
It is, I think there might be an addition, there are, let's get it's section 5 has the parking.
Right, I think for CBD, the parking is in the CBD zoning, which I'm trying to get through right now to see.
Well, actually, off-street parking requirements are in section on table. They're sideways. That's really annoying. It's in section 5, actually. It covers
it?
all
Okay,
of the
good,
off,
yeah.
yeah, and it spells them out sideways. Why don't we, I'm gonna go to the town's website where things are hopefully not sideways.
Okay.
So I apologize, this is a little painful. I apologize. We're working through this in live time.
Yeah, it's section 5.1.2, general regulations applying to required off-street parking facilities, section 5.1.2.
Yep. And so there are. Yeah, so this is,
It's
my brain is-
0.75.
It's 0.75, but there's also, you can get waivers depending if you do things, and there are ways around there. So for instance, I believe there might be a section in terms of finding other parking or contributing to a parking fund. My brain doesn't recall the precise details of that at the moment, but that's something we need to look at. There's FAR, because you do have your FAR 1.
Well, the FAR, I know it's gotta come up to 2.4.
Yeah, so that's something that you have to have done. So those are the two big ones that I can think of off the bat that would be.
I
we
don't
would
think
be-
there's an issue with the parking in reference. I don't mean to interrupt, but
Go ahead. Good.
we've been through that from the very beginning back 4 years ago. And I believe that being the distance I am from the train station, it's no parking is needed.
Okay, well, let me double check that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not that I doubt you, it's just that, that's something we need to check and make sure that we can officially check that off, so. Okay, so at this point, if you folks are done with your presentation and we get back to our standard procedure, this is where we would be hearing from other, we would reading into the minutes. Yes, please. So to this point, we have not received any letters or memos from any citizens. So let's move on now to comments from town staffs and other boards. We have received input from I'm sorry, let me find the input so I can make sure I read it to you correctly. So the fire department has responded saying that the only comments is if approved, the building will have to meet fire codes and associated fire-related building codes. So that's standard language. We also have had a comment from the Conservation Commission, and the Conservation Commission says, quote, properties outside of Concom jurisdiction is located beyond the 100-year floodplains, more than 200 feet from the Aberjona River. It notes the building occupies almost the entirety of the lot, no room for natural enhancements. That was the Concom's comment. We also received something from engineering, and we are lucky to have with us this evening Brian Manter, Assistant Town Engineer. Brian, would you like to present engineering's findings?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. Thank you. We kind of touched upon this a little bit in the discussion earlier. There may be an inconsistency between the Form D application on page 3 of 5, item number 1. It notes that there are 4 bedrooms, but on the drawings, it appears on drawing the architectural plan sheet A4, looks like there may be 5 bedrooms. So I just need to reconcile that difference. But the reason why that it's important is because the applicant at the time of applying for a building permit will have to pay an I&I fee to the town. I&I fee is an inflow and infiltration fee, which is driven by sewage, the amount of sewage generated by the building, which would be calculated and estimated based on the number of bedrooms.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we will,
That will be amended. That I don't know why I didn't even pick that up. It's going to be a den. It's not going to be a bedroom.
okay.
It
So
shows as a bedroom on your plans, plan A4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms are labeled bedroom.
I agree with you 100%, but it's going to be a den. It's going to be redone. It's the same as we had a mix up in reference to when Brian was leaving. It's a mistake.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll fix that. Okay, so we'll amend it so that there's 1 bedroom in unit, whatever unit that is. That was
It's unit 8 is
Unit-
shown right now at 519 square feet with 2 bedrooms.
Okay, so unit 8 was 1 bedroom. Okay, so there are a total of 4 bedrooms that are being added. Okay. Any other concerns, Brian?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point in our hearing,
I just need to go back to the egress thing about the second means of egress on the roof of the Lyceum building. the Lyceum building retains the legal right to put a third floor on their building, but is it understood that that third floor would not cover that small section of roof that the second floor of 1016 emergency egress opens onto?
That's not part of the existing footprint of the Lyceum building. That was
It's
something. That
okay. It's not part of the original footprint.
correct.
Okay.
Ah, original, I see. Okay, that helps.
Certainly, if there is some sort of a easement across that for emergency egress, and this is again where we have to look and make sure we understand the legal envelope of this. If there's an existing easement, they would not be able to. I would imagine, I will talk to town council and ask. Yeah.
That's
Right.
what I've been told by 3 or 4 different legal opinions.
Okay.
Right, we
So-
definitely would want to see an easement, no matter what. There has to be an easement if you're going to retain that second means of egress across the adjoining property roof.
So I think the question that we have for town council is what sort of documentation is there or what is required to show that this is a permanent easement? So this is just to make sure that it's all in paper.
Yep.
So,
Excuse me, John McConnell, have you ever run into this in your years of experience?
No. And
Well,
my question is, didn't you say earlier that actually the small building that we're using, its roof, doesn't belong to the Lyceum, it belongs to.
no, it belongs to eight.
Oh, it
Winchester
does?
Place.
I did not understand that from the Google image.
Well, the Lyceum building is owned by, I don't know whether they're the same entity. But I know that Larry Murray is either the trustee of the building adjacent to me, I'll just, for less of words, the Lyceum building, and 8 Winchester Place.
So the yellow, there's something yellow on the ground. I don't know if that's a drainage tube or whatever that is, but that triangle right there is
Yes.
not part of the original Lyceum building.
Correct.
And it is actually
It was
where,
added on many years after.
thank you, Diab, that's or whoever made that.
That's I Ching. I Ching is.
Yay, Ching.
You can make it. Yeah. So,
Oh, let's see, maybe it's Ivy. I don't know.
It is.
So in response to your saying whether you've ever seen this before, again, you're dealing with a board which doesn't have a town planner who would know the answers to all of this. So we're asking questions about which we are ignorant and we will get them answered.
Right.
So don't, this is a question that I need to ask just to make sure that everyone is protected.
You might be able to see it in that crack, that little, see where you're at right there? I'm sorry, but that's where it is. That's where it goes, right there.
Right.
Yep.
No, I see that now.
Okay.
Okay, that's helpful to understand. Thank you.
So let's
And that's the exit for presently right now through them. You can zoom in. Do you see them windows on the Lyceum building?
yeah.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that is their means of egress out of them windows.
For the Lyceum. Okay.
So it appears to me unlikely that that little triangular building will be built upward, because if it did, it would block the second means of egress from the second floor of 1016.
Right.
The words probably and unlikely, I don't know how well that'll hold up in a court of law. So I'm gonna ask town council. He'll probably say
please do,
there's
but
nothing
from
to
what I've
worry
been
about.
told and what I've
Yep.
been told by, again, I've been
Yep.
told you cannot block an existing exit. It's
Yep.
illegal. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Me neither. Okay, so why don't we go to the public comment section part of this? And let me try to remind myself how long we were supposed to be talking about this. just so we don't.
Until 8:30, Deab,
Okay,
and
so
it's
we have 15 minutes.
8:16.
So why don't we open it up to anyone who would wish to speak?
Deab, I don't know if you can see that Lisa has her hand up.
Lisa, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you for the design. I think it looks good. My question is,
One sec,
again,
Lisa. Lisa, could
you-
you
what?
identify yourself?
Oh,
Tell
I'm
us-
sorry. I'm sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
Lisa Matrandola, the DAC chair, member, and live in town of Winchester my whole life.
And
Um,
DAC stands for
Oh,
Disability.
sorry,
Access.
Disability Access Commission. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought the design was good. I got a couple of questions. Regarding the fact that you do have frontage there, meaning it's the front and you have customers coming in. What I didn't see, and I know you have an elevator, I think that's good for accessibility. However, because the whole building is getting some type of construction, under the ADA, if there's any of those storefronts that have steps, they need to have some type of ramp or something put in to make sure there's accessibility into those stores at this point, because you are renovating the building. And that's, where is that, sir? I didn't see it in the design.
If you
Is it
go
in the
to
back?
It's in the back. If you go to it exists now. If you go to
Okay,
the retail space,
okay.
I don't have the plan for the first floor. I don't think you submitted it.
hold on one second, please. There's a ramp in where the elevator is going to be. No,
I do see the word ramp, but I don't see how that connects to,
I'll show you. Okay, you see the ramp? The ramp, presently right now, there's a nail salon.
Okay. Yeah.
Nail salon that is an emergency exit. If anyone really has to get in, there's a ramp right there that goes right in to the nail salon, and also
I don't see how it gets into what, it's a flowers, it's
Yeah.
Pond View.
There are no
Yeah.
steps.
Can it get into Pondview? Just wondering.
There's no steps at Pondview.
Yeah, there is a step.
There's a
I'm
big
looking-
step there. Yes, there is. I
Not
think
at
there is.
Pondview. Not at Pondview.
Yep,
Yep, I know that.
I see it on Street View.
And I tried,
Evening.
and believe me, I can't get in there because of it. I'm just,
That will be dealt with. It's simple to put a door.
no,
in.
that's just something I want to,
No.
make known that if you're doing this type of modification, that just has to be looked into, to make sure. So that was my first part. In the, second part, one of the units, the apartment units may be accessible, correct? Handicap accessible? Are we looking into that?
It's all, I believe it's 30-something inches wide. That's a code for
Should be
Building.
36, but.
36, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a code for building today.
Mr. McConnell, do you know the doorway schedule for the building?
I don't. I am not the architect of this project.
The doorways of the apartments you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seems to me they can all be made accessible. They could be 36 inches.
okay, all right.
I think the bathrooms have to have a 5-foot circumference.
Yeah, they do.
you
don't
mean,
see
you mean
that.
diameter.
I'm sorry, yes.
Diameter.
Diameter, thank you. And I don't see that in the plans here, but
Okay, so one of the things I think would be really useful, Lisa, is when the DAC looks at this, is to take a look and see how much, whether these are, what the requirements are that you see for, and how it would, whether or not one or more of the units could be made accessible from your point of view.
Okay, great.
And I did not say that very coherently, but I hope you get my meaning.
I do.
Okay.
And thank you for letting me speak. Thank
But
you.
I have a
okay.
question for Lisa, Diab.
Yeah.
Lisa,
Well,
I don't,
I just want to see if there's anyone else who has a
Yes.
comment. Anyone else out there who wishes to comment on theirs, please? Okay, I don't see it. Go ahead with your question then, Sally.
So Lisa, I apologize for not being as familiar as I should be with the ADA, but when a town, when in zoning bylaws, are they required to say that if you do this, then you must have this many handicapped apartments, accessible apartments?
Not necessarily. If you're gonna do it, you need, it depends on the amount of units you have.
Right, so
So-
the building will end up with 8.
Right, so it should be at least one or two. If it's a bigger building, then you should be a certain percentage, but it's only because it's only a couple of units here. I mean, 8 meaning 8 units.
There's 9 in total.
Yeah, I think there's a, one of the things we have to look at is what is required if you're adding on a certain number of units
Right,
versus what the total size of the development is. And
Okay.
certainly, I know that this does not trigger, for instance, the inclusionary housing
right.
because it's an addition of a certain number of units. So that's something that, in any case,
Okay,
so I think if those are what we would want to do right now, to keep on track, is try to look at scheduling our next meeting. So we want to get back. So Lisa, when is your next DAC meeting? Could this be put on?
Yeah, it's the second Thursday of March, which would be, I think, the 9th. I'm off the top of my head.
Okay,
Thursday, the 9th, yeah.
okay. So DAC, and could you make sure that this is on your agenda for that meeting?
It will be. It will be.
Okay, so I know that I've heard back from Jacqueline Menage on the Historical Commission, and I believe they are also doing that early in March. And I apologize on what the date. Let's see if I can get the date.
And Julie, well, he's
Yeah,
looking,
yeah, I'm here. We have only reviewed this, the pre-application for design review committee, and we had some concerns. It doesn't look like the design has changed that much. So I think that we'll have the same comments.
Well, it's, yep, understood. You might have the same comments.
when is that, Julie, that you will meet in the fall?
I think March 1st.
Okay, great. thanks.
And yeah, one of the comments that I remember from the last time was that most of the units, or not, at least half of the units, do not have exterior windows in their living spaces. So they have kitchens and living rooms that have no windows. And those units have a window in the bedroom. But I know that some of the architects on the design review committee, and I agree with this, is that it's not ideal to have units that don't have have their kitchens and living rooms without windows.
Right, so I appreciate that this is very similar to what you saw before, but since it is the official submission.
Yeah,
yeah.
we will.
Okay.
You'll get it. You'll get our comments in the minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Julie.
Thank you. And I looked up, the Historical Commission will be reviewing this on March 8th as well, which is strange because I thought they met on Mondays.
March 8th would be Wednesday.
It
Yeah.
would be the Thursday, the same as the Disability
Oh, no,
Access. Did I get that wrong?
well,
March 8th is a Wednesday. Disability Access is a Wednesday as well? Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
I think it's the 6th, but
I think it's the 6th as well. I've got a project in front of the Historical Commission on March 6th, so I'm assuming
Okay,
March
that
6th.
makes sense.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
No,
glad
go
to
right
have the
ahead.
clarification.
Okay,
so
well,
are we gonna, as a board, have a chance to comment?
yeah, well, what we're going to do, we're going to have a chance to comment, I believe, when we get all of the reports in from the other boards so that we have everything in front of us.
Okay, I mean,
So
we've
yes,
had a
we will
couple of
definitely.
hearings already.
This is the very first official hearing for this project. So what we had before now were pre-application meetings, but this is the first hearing after the submission of this project to this board.
Right.
So, I Ching, I don't know if you have the procedures up there. So the key, so one thing we could do right now is we could determine the need for a consultant, and I've already forgotten about that. So thank you for showing that, I Ching. So one of the things we can ask to have is a 53G consultant. In this case, I think the only consultant we would be looking at would be a design consultant.
An architect.
Well, some sort of design consultant. Who fills that? Yeah, role. So
I see. Okay.
we don't need, from my understanding, and Brian, you can tell me if I'm wrong, we don't need someone for the wastewater or stormwater.
Correct.
And we certainly don't have any traffic issues with this site because this is 4 units and not much. So it's just going to be a 53G design consultant. And I think we would want someone with some historical, Sally, you know the words better than I do. Or maybe
Preservationist?
a preservation architect, because this is a historical building. So we would like to request that. So I believe what we need to do is we make a request today, we vote on that, and then we will have to find someone, and then we would negotiate with Mr. Levitt what the maximum cost would be, so they would agree to it, and then we would come back with we would have to vote on the actual scope of work and the amount of money to be spent. So what the board needs to do now is to it would be good to have a motion to request a 53G consultant. Sorry, folks, I have a migraine which makes my brain just not go linearly.
Yeah,
So
let me try a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
The motion would be that the planning board would vote that we intend to request that the applicant hire a design consultant with architectural preservation background to review the plans for the exterior of the building. Is it within the scope of that architect to review the plans of the interior building too?
Nope.
Simply the exterior. Okay.
Right, and this is under 53G.
Under 53G, right. So, and then the planning board would identify a suggested preservation architect to serve as a peer review of the exterior design.
Right.
But we will wait until when we meet in March after we've received the design review committee, historical commission.
No, this can go in parallel.
Oh, okay. We don't have to wait.
Because
The motion is just that we would agree to do this.
the 53G consultants will look at the design as presented to us
Okay.
in this application.
So that's my motion.
Okay,
Nancy, did you get that?
So I'm gonna remove the word intend to request, as we are requesting a design consultant with architectural preservation background under 53G. That would be the motion.
And the motion, and it's to review the exterior design of the building on 2 facades.
Yes, to review the exterior of the design, to review the,
Well, maybe all 3, I don't know. It's hard.
to review the exterior of the new addition. Of the addition.
Well, it's really the exterior of the whole building because
If there's no work being done on the 1st and 2nd floors, they can't review it.
except as there might be a ramp needed for the access to the Pond View florist.
Okay. Review the exterior of the building. We'll put together a scope of work and,
Yes.
And that'll come before this board, hopefully much sooner than our next meeting on this project or much. We'll do it. Okay. So that to review the exterior of the building, the design of the exterior of the building. Okay. So I have request applicant hire a design consultant with architectural and preservation background under 53G to review the design of the exterior of the building. Okay. Is there a motion to that? Someone please move that.
Oh, I move that.
Oh, you move that. Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Sally,
Aye.
Yi Ching,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. Okay, so we will, Ms. Levitt, I will start working on that. Hope to get you and let's see, Julie Rumenschneider, are you still with us?
Yes.
If you folks have someone that you think would be would have the skills required for this, please let us know.
Okay.
Because that would be really welcome. So getting back to so Nick, we will have time. We only allotted an hour for this evening because we wanted to get the reports from the other boards in before we started our discussion. But
So I
we
won't have
will-
my opportunity to call in from California to vote no on all the articles.
Oh, I'm sorry.
for
You can
tonight's
you can you can do that when you next come. So there are no articles.
I have
Yes.
a question about Lisa Matrondola's request, which was that the bathrooms did not appear to be handicap accessible. So if it turns out that we do need, say, at least one, then that would also require an architect to provide a review of the interior, but we don't know the answer to that yet.
I don't know that, yeah, so I am not familiar with us ever requiring design review on the interior. So that's something I need to, I understand what you're saying, but I don't recall us ever doing that.
Yeah, well, it's only just triggered because we've.
There are certainly, no, I mean, if they meet, the thing is, they would have to meet, if it needs to meet requirements, then the requirements are specified and the building commissioner is more than capable of reading those requirements
Right.
and determining whether or not they meet code. So
Okay.
we don't, we don't need. I
Okay,
don't
thank
think.
you. I think
So
that's-
then I would like us to come up with a date for our next meeting. We do have to continue this meeting to a time certain.
Can I suggest March 21st? It would
I'm
be
out of
after,
town. I'm out of town.
You're out of town.
Yes.
So Sally, do you have our,
the next one would be April 4th.
what's our next one and what's our first one in March? Is it the?
The first one is March 7th, and that precedes the dates of March 9th for the design review committee. So the next one after that is Tuesday, the 21st of March,
Okay,
and-
and then what's our first in April?
April
I think-
4th.
I think design review is on the 1st of March.
Oh, the 1st. Oh.
Is that
Right.
right? I think.
Oh, no,
I'm
the
pretty sure.
disability
Let me
access.
check the minutes.
Yes,
Disability access is on the 9th.
That's,
Okay.
that, right.
So that would push it to April 4th.
Did we lose, Lisa? We lost
No,
Lisa.
she's here.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Can you remind us when the next disability access is?
It's the second Thursday in in March. I just don't have my calendar in front of me.
Yeah, I'm
I think
looking
it's-
at
I
that.
think it's
the 9th.
The 9th. I
That's
think
the
it's the
9th.
9th.
Okay, so it's the 9th for disability access, the 1st for DRC, and the 6th for the historical. Okay, so we are going to have to go into April, it looks like, and our first one in April is the 4th.
Yes. And we
Okay,
have a community meeting scheduled for that night, but can we do more than one thing in one night?
oh yes, we have a community meeting, and then the very thing after that is a planning board meeting. So we will be strike while the iron is hot, convene while we're all there, something like that. Okay,
Right,
so
right. So
I'm going to, can you tell on that, do you have the times for those meetings? I think the community meeting it goes until 8 or 8:30.
I don't know.
Hold on one second, let me.
And just died.
Come on, computer's slow. Okay, let's go to calendar. Wow, that's really slow. Come on, calendar. Okay, so let's go to April. Sorry, boy, this is really slow. Okay. April 4th. Okay, 8 p.m. is when our planning board meeting starts on the 4th. So why don't we continue this
You mean the
meeting?
hearing starts on the 4th?
No, that's
I
when
mean,
our
at 8.
planning. Our planning board meeting begins at 8. Holton
Oh, I
and
see.
Swanton is from 7 till 8.
Oh.
So why don't we continue this meeting until April the 4th at 8:15 p.m. Mr. Levitt, is that acceptable?
That's fine. I'm in town.
Excellent. Okay.
Good.
Can we get so we'll continue the hearing to then. We'll need a vote to not close. Let's vote to continue. We're not closing it. So a roll call vote, please. Can I get a motion to continue until April 4th at 8:15 p.m.?
So moved.
And the
Second.
second, thank you. And roll call vote would be Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Sally,
I
I Ching,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. Thank you very much to everyone who participated this evening, and we will work on that 53G, and we will be in communications with you, Mr. Levitt, on moving that forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let us go to our next.
Julie, thank you for being here. And Lisa
No
also.
problem.
I think Lisa already left, but I wanted to thank her.
Julie's going to be with us for a while. We have to vote her in. Let's see, where are we on our agenda? We are, our next is our CBD design review on 14 Thompson. So this, I hope, is the meeting where we do actually make a decision. And so we have with us, who is with us from Iverson? Guo is here. Kevin Foley is here. Anyone else?
I think that's it tonight. Eric, who usually joins us, he's tied up with an emergency we have at one of our buildings.
Okay, sorry to hear that. When last we spoke, you had a couple of designs you were interested in pursuing. You had your more original design and then a modified design. You then went back to the Design Review Committee and to the Historical Commission. Let me very quickly, we did get a comment from the chair of the Historical Commission, which said that the Historical Commission, it was an informal comment saying the Historical Commission was okay with either design. I believe, I Ching, you at one point had the quotes from the design review. And let me, Mr. Foley or Mr. Guo, are you, either of you going to present tonight?
We're happy to make comments. I noticed that my video is not working, so I apologize, but we essentially will reiterate the original presentation if necessary.
Okay.
So we're obviously here to help. We're here to answer any questions that anyone on the board has.
Okay, then I won't bother making you co-hosts, and you appeared very briefly on screen, so.
I know I'm in Concord at home, so I apologize. It may just be the connection. For some reason, it's not working.
Okay, so why don't, so what we have here is, thank you, I Ching, for putting this together. So the upper left is, I would say, existing, but it does look a little different right today. But that is the existing storefront. The only difference I know of today is you have a few entrances boarded up. And then below to the left is the original design that you came forward with, oh, good Lord, months ago. And then to the right is the revised one, which I know that's the one you came before us a few weeks back. Is that, and these are the two that you presented to Design Review and Historical?
Remind me, Iverson, I believe the first design, we've modified just the base of it. So if you look at the second design, to the right, it has a brick base.
Yes,
we would essentially have the first design, and the only change with the left design would be that brick base on the right.
Yes.
And we would have glass. And I think we presented that to both the planning board and the historical commission.
Okay. So I Ching, can we take a look at the design review committees? Okay, so oops. So this is these are minutes from the February meeting. And I think we can read the design review committee discussed A1 and A2 options, where I believe A1 is the earlier and the A2 is the later. And they preferred unanimously the A2 option. The reasons given were the large A1 decorative doors crowd the shop to the left of them. The decorative entrance in A1 is out of proportion with the window to the right of it and overpowers the building. Design A2 is simple, elegant, and in scale with the building. A2 hides less of the existing brick, so retains the character of the building, the street, and Winchester Center. The A2 entrance adds a 5-foot wider expanse of glass to the right of the entry door, increasing legend of the space, breaking up the stretch of the exterior brick wall. Design A2 keeps the existing window top door visible. This is the door with the round light or whatever you call it to the left. And the round cartouche in A2 coordinates with the round window in the building's smaller gable. Somebody point out a round cartouche for me. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I don't know that it's there anymore.
Okay.
I could look in my files and see it, but it was a round like emblem above where it says Karma in the
Like
elevation to the right.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay. where are we at? That was, okay.
Oh, and I see, and then you say that the cartouche would make the brick infill less noticeable, but now I see that it's been removed, so the brick infill would be more noticeable.
Well, it's not there, so we can remove 7 and 8 because A1 and A2 will require new brick infills. Okay. And number 9, again, the cartouche is back, but we're going to ignore it because it appears to have disappeared. Is there anything more on that? And that's it. So,
Can I ask Julie just to clarify that?
which,
If you, I can look at my, I have all the file, I'm on my computer. I do have I could probably pull up the image we have. It was just a round sign. I think that was located right where it says Karma, where the lettering is. I think there was a round kind of sign there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, or am I imagining
No,
it?
no, that's fine. I'm just wondering, is Mr. Guo intending to, I mean, you had, you know,
is
We
that,
liked it, but yeah, I don't know where it went.
is that,
Actually, the last meeting we went to, we present like 2 different design. There's a A1 and A2. So right now, the one we show on the screen, the down the right, that's the A2 design. We're supposed to have an A1 design. If you can pull it up, the A1 design, you were able to see that the round logo.
I don't think we ever got it. I don't think the planning board got that.
Oh, they probably just don't send the A1 for some reason.
can you, why don't I make you
me just see.
co-host? And then you can show it to us. I think that's important. I will try to make you co-host. Hold on one second. Okay, you should be able to present.
Iverson, can you, or you, I'm also looking for it in my files, but I'm not seeing the drawings.
Hold on one sec.
Um,
What's your email address? I'm sorry.
Can you display it on your screen?
My screen? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just made you co-host. You should be able to share screen.
Hold on.
Or is it behind you on your wall? Or is that something else? I can't tell.
No, it's just like a round circle
Yeah,
logo.
if you
or
can,
logo.
if you can share you can share your screen right now if you have that document handy.
Let me see what it is. Hold on one second. Sorry.
Oh, I think I found it.
You did?
Well, no, let's see. Do I have, is it? No, this is a sign on Thompson.
Okay. Okay, I got it right here. Hold on. Oh no. Okay. Can you guys see it?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Yes, so that's what we were, that's the cartouche that we were commenting on.
And that could also be used in design number 1 if.
Right.
So
If we wanted to.
So this is the design that we should call A2 with the cartouche in it.
No, this is still the A1. No, the A2. Yes, this is the A2 design.
And
okay.
Iverson, do you have a copy of the first design?
I have one, I think.
Is that the one that I Ching displayed on the screen just a few moments ago, what we called A1?
I think you had it, Iverson. I saw it there.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it popped up on the screen. See what you got? I mean, we went before both boards with the 2 same designs. Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, this one.
Right?
Okay, so that's.
Can I jump in and it may help? It seems like we got very good feedback from the historical committee. They were happy with either design. it seemed like the historical board had a couple questions and we should really dive into those comments if you'd like. It seemed like one concern is that we were either taking away or blocking the door to the left. And
Wait,
while we
hold
may
on.
be blocking it, that door to the left of the entrance will always be there. This panel is just decorative, so it won't go away.
Right, so let me, hold on a second, Mr. Crowley. So the
Yeah.
Historic Commission was happy with your either design.
Correct.
I think the biggest, the big discussion here is the DRC's concerns.
And we
namely
can
that-
address each one of those if you'd like.
And I think that is, I think, where most of the discussion will be in
Sure.
terms of, because that is a substantially different view of what Thompson Street looks like between A1 and A2 versus, so why don't we put A1 and A2 up next to each other? And I think maybe, I think the only difference between the A2 that I Ching showed was the lack of a cartouche. Is that correct? Because I'd like to turn the screen sharing back to I Ching because she has access to all the documents.
So yeah, if Mr. Guo, if you can send this one to me at iscott@planning, oh no, what is it?
Yep.
iscott@winchester.us.
So I think we have two very different views of this establishment, of this. And why don't we
Please
have
like
the-
type your email address on the screen, then I can,
Okay, oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Where am I? So it's, you see that? iscott@winchester.us.
Oh, okay, Scott, okay, got it.
Okay, so I think it might be useful. I'm trying to understand how to work this because we do have very different views on this. So maybe we have a round from the board. Everyone gets a couple minutes to state their concerns or their preferences. And then we
Can I give the framework of what we're looking for here?
Sure, go ahead.
So if I'm not mistaken, this is what we're trying to do. Is the goal of the CBD zoning plan is to create functionally diverse and active downtown development consisting of attractive background buildings that focus on and enrich the streetscape and public open space. So that's what we're trying to do. Is that correct, Ian?
These are the design principles. Yes, continue.
Oh, do we have to continue? I thought this was like the main point. And then
Well, there's also paragraph number 2 is new structures must be compatible. Now, this isn't the new structure. This is a, why don't we, so these are the design principles. Can you get to the section which talks about the elements of design review for the CBD? So I think that is,
Elements of form.
no, just where it's, just search for design review.
Oh, the criteria.
Yeah, I think there's a, we need to make sure that we are, okay, section 7.3.15, site plan and design review. Okay, so,
Actually,
all site plan review.
7.3.17 I Ching. 7.3.17. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where you just were. It's the 5 paragraphs.
right, I just wanted to look at, under general standards for site plan review. No, those are sites, design review guidelines is 7.3.15.4, it says see section 7.3.17.
And that's where we were.
And that's where we were. So I just wanted to follow
Yeah.
that through, pardon my
So I Ching,
Okay.
I appreciate you bringing this section up, because I think it's at the heart of what we're being asked to talk about.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue because I think that what we're looking at is actually sort of a tension between the first paragraph and the second paragraph, which is compatible with Winchester's historic architecture and sense of place. So,
I don't know why those would be a tension between them.
well, if it's diverse, yet it still has to be compatible with the previous architectural style, then to me,
Well-
that's a tension, because in one sense you're saying, here's what it looks like and this must ever be thus. And then you say diverse, which means that you might want to include new things. So,
Well, it says functionally diverse.
We have two different styles, so there is a tension there, I think. I mean, but they both look nice. I mean, but you know, I think they do speak to those two paragraphs.
yeah, so we have two different styles. We have, you know, we do have a wide variety of styles downtown. So the question is, when you look at what the architectural context is, you certainly wouldn't look across the street on Thompson Street because that's a totally different architectural contrast from this building, because those across the street are all essentially tiny clapboard houses, and these are, as Mr. Foley told us last time, these are essentially 3 brick houses which have been combined into one large one large building, or however you want to call it.
Complex, yeah.
Complex, thank you. So I Ching, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was.
No, I just wanted to remind ourselves like what the criteria for judging this is.
Yeah. So why don't we go around quickly, I guess, and everyone can take about a minute to give your view of these, of where you think we should, or you would like to go with this. So who would like to start? Or shall I just call on something, or is someone want to jump in?
Can I have a question for the applicant?
Okay.
For the applicant, which one would you defend more? I guess, you know, I think maybe the main purpose is to get you guys started and get you set up and running as a restaurant, but which one would you?
Can we just jump in first?
Who is speaking? I'm sorry.
Sorry. That was me.
Sorry.
I was just hoping that we could have a discussion about.
Is this
about
Nick?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can't see you for some reason. Everyone gets a couple. Why doesn't everyone take a minute and you can ask your question? You get to ask your questions in that minute. How's that? Or let's give you a minute and a half. So I Ching, you were going first anyway, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so yeah, that was my question for the applicant.
I think.
Iverson, do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, Kevin, yes, please.
Iverson and I have been working closely together, and I appreciate the first meeting that we had with the planning board. We think the first design is more interesting, and I think that reflects probably the inside better. We tried to come up with 2 designs. We think the second design is somewhat derivative, maybe not as interesting. We could accept that, but I think there's more excitement and I think a better reflection of what this new restaurant would really mean to the center. So I would say that there would be a strong preference for the first design, but obviously we're here to work with the town and the planning board. So our preference, if possible, would be the first design because we think it's more interesting and it's more reflective of what the new restaurant's all about. The second design, while perfectly fine, I think is a little derivative, and it just sort of plugs away on basic design themes that's already there. So I can understand the comfort level of the second design, but sometimes with a restaurant, it's important to show excitement and new energy.
And if I could follow up, you said you could address some of the concerns of the design review board, and how would you address those concerns?
Sure, I think what happens is—
You got 30, can we hold off on that? This is just for your opinion, I Ching, because that's
Oh,
going to
is
take.
it? I thought we were still asking questions. I'm sorry.
No. This is because I want to get a quick round
Okay,
going around.
okay, got it. So my, whoops. My opinion would be probably for the first one as well. I think that this opens up, it does make it way more interesting. I think the second one has 2 doors going on, and it doesn't invite, it doesn't signal the main entrance, whereas this one definitely does and signals a real sort of grandness to that, a pretty grand restaurant, to be honest, because it goes through the block, and it's taken up quite a lot of it, including the alley. So in that sense, yes. And also I think it does present the more internal sort of character of what the business is trying to accomplish here.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to go next?
I'll speak
Okay,
if I
go ahead.
may. I think that we asked the design review committee to do a job, and I know that they spent an incredible amount of time working with the restaurant. And it almost feels like we're kind of upending all that work, you know, at the 11th hour. I know that what they did was a skillful job. It celebrates the building, and it works to create harmony across the entire building by bringing in elements that are kind of around the whole building. So I'm kind of reluctant at this point to say, I feel like we're jerking them around a little bit. I mean, they're people, and they've put in a real lot of effort into this. And I guess I just feel uncomfortable kind of at the 11th hour, you know, upending all that.
Okay, so you prefer A2 then?
I think so. I think I'm
Okay.
On that basis, I think I'm going with A2.
Okay. Who would like to speak next?
I can go.
Go ahead, please, Sally.
So the original drawing with the 2 doors on the barn door rollers, those are large metal fabricated, custom fabricated decorative panels, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I remember there being conversation, maybe it was in design review, about how they felt sort of visually jarring in the setting of the traditional style of the building. So then you came back with, and I don't know if that was what the design review committee said to you or not, but that's what I remember hearing from some source, that they were just visually jarring, too big and so on. And then you come back with the second drawing. And I really agree with the notion of preserving the look and feel of historic buildings in town. And I also really like the introduction of a culturally interesting artifact that is intended to be with the same expression of quality from one cultural form to another. And in fact, there is a goal to make Winchester a more multicultural community. And so I wonder if 1 or 2 things could happen. And also, I do not like blocking the arched doorway because it just feels disrespectful to the history of the building. So is there a way, and I realize it's like, it's halfway between these. I liked the round sign for your restaurant, Karma, that, as Julie's group, our committee said, echoes the circular medallion in the chimney above to the right. But can the doors or can the entrance itself be made to be a visually striking, culturally interesting entrance that communicates Asian fusion food or design, but is still at the right scale and doesn't block the left door? So that's kind of taking everything and putting it right in the middle. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Would you to get a little more would you be in favor of keeping those panels in some form?
I would be interested in seeing some way of expressing the Asian fusion spirit of the restaurant on the street without compromising the integrity of the building that it's on. So like right now, these two doors are really cool. And I remember seeing a bigger picture of them and thinking that they were cool, but they're too big and I don't like that they block the left door. And then I learn about the cartouche, which we finally found a picture of because I don't think I'd ever seen that. And you're right that it does echo the circular form in the right-hand chimney. And so those two things become an opportunity to bring onto the Thompson Street streetscape the notion of this being a culturally diverse experience in the center of our town. And the one on the right doesn't do that, and the one on the left is out of scale. And so that's what comes to my mind. And also the one on the right, it's very traditional. It's very what it's always been. And I do think that it's possible to honor historic forms with culturally diverse artifacts if they're done to the right scale and level of quality of execution and color and texture and so on. I mean, all the design things. So that's just what I think.
Okay, thank you. Kurt. Kurt, are you still with us? If you are muted. Something has happened to Kurt. Yi-Ching, could you give Kurt a text, please, and see if he somehow has some technical difficulties? So while we're getting Kurt back, why don't I jump in with my opinion? So I'm not a real big fan of A2, and the reason why is because it really doesn't strike me as being something that shows the uniqueness of this establishment. And I think the issue I have with it is it may be what you expect to see on the front of that building. But I've seen many buildings that have that form elsewhere in Boston and elsewhere, which have much more enlivened fronts to them. And I don't see this as really enlivening the front of the building. And I think that's if I were to walk by there, I would have no idea what's behind those two awnings. And that's really what I'm looking at. I sat down in the town center yesterday morning, and I looked around and I thought, what is it that sets apart these different establishments? And what I saw was an awful lot of awnings with not a lot of uniqueness about them. And what I did see that made it unique was there were some things stood out because there was embellishment. There was something which stood out from the sea of awnings. And I think that visual appeal is important. And I just don't get that when I look at the one on the right. I find the one on the left, A1, to be a lot more evocative. I think it is large. It does occupy the lower third of the building. I think when I look at it, and I know a lot of people have looked at that left door, in my mind, the left door breaks the symmetry of that left structure. The door in the middle is centered, but that left door makes it asymmetric and weighted. So I don't know that, historically it may be an important structure, but in terms of my design aesthetics, I don't find that a balanced form. So I agree with a lot of what Sally said. I would really love to see more of the flavor and the energy of what's on the left. I think I would be fine with those panels if they were a little smaller. But so that's where I'm coming from. I want something to be really dynamic, and that building is unique on that street because every other building on that street looks different. And so I don't know that there's the only context we have is that one building. And so that makes it difficult for me to understand how I can take this. What do I expect to see on this street that's consistent? And everything else is different on that street. So those are my kind of incoherent thoughts. But I think I would tend more towards A1. I don't have a strong opinion on whether that leftmost door stays. I don't really care if it's just boarded over and it's there permanently, it's not being damaged. It doesn't, then, and as far as I'm concerned, architecture, that's fine. Did we get Kurt back, Yicheng? I'm rambling, I apologize. You are muted.
No, Kurt did not say.
Kurt, you are.
Oh, Kurt's
Kurt.
here.
I'm here, guys.
Yeah, can you, we were going around, your 2 minutes of thought on these two designs, where you would like to go with, where you feel you want to go with them.
Yeah, sorry, my internet's a little unstable, so I was kind of cutting in and out. But I guess I don't have a strong position. I think on this, I think they're both. I guess neither of them have any issues. I guess in my mind, so I guess I don't have a strong position. I would defer to others who perhaps do.
Okay. So we are. What time is it? It is 15 after. Oh man, we are really.
Deb, can I say something?
Sure.
So I'm from the design review committee, and I think we may have seen this maybe 2 or 3 times. And you know, we are really sensitive to the importance of this building in the downtown. And you know, it's an AIA award-winning building. It's a historic building. And we just felt that the doors, they crowd it and they really take away from the architecture that's there. And I also think that the awnings that are proposed, I think that when we last discussed, they were maybe copper. And the shape of the awnings, you know, they're not going to look like every other awning in the downtown. So there are things that do reflect the type of business that are there in the second image. And I actually think that, or the design, I shouldn't say I, but the design review committee, you know, felt pretty strongly that the sort of like barn doors that are pretty trendy right now on the historic architecture, you know, it really didn't suit the historic architecture. And you know, if there's another way to have some sort of a panel, but it just was so large in comparison to the scale of the rest of the buildings and windows on the on that facade. So that's why, I mean, we spent like hours going through this, and yes, I will be disappointed if our viewpoint is not respected or taken into account by the planning board.
Okay, thank you. Let me try to understand our schedule, because I would love to have the proponents speak to the concerns raised by the design review committee and respond to the statements from the planning board, so that we can come to, I don't think we're going to get to the end of this evening, but I think they can walk away hopefully with a sense of what would be acceptable to all parties. I don't think this board is, I think we will respect the work you've put into this. I think it's just a question of how we balance everyone's responsibilities here. So, I-Ching, could you bring up our schedule, our agenda? I mean, we have to swear Julie into the DRC so she can speak with authority.
Before I tune out.
Why don't we just swear her in now, you know? And we'll get caught up.
Yeah, so where are we at? So we are at 8. We haven't gotten to spring meeting warrant articles. We really need to do this.
Can I jump in?
Why don't we first, if we can break this for a couple seconds and let's do our 8:45 with Julie. That will be really quick. That's important. So just to interrupt this real quick,
Yeah,
Julie,
good idea.
Julie is up for Julie is our previous selection from this board for the design review committee. I don't know how many members we vote on. We had the position was open on the town website for several weeks, over a couple of weeks. Julie's was the only application that came in, I believe. So that, which isn't to say that we don't think you're highly qualified. You have no competition, I guess is a better way of putting it. There's no competition. So are there any questions we want to ask of Julie? Or do we want to go straight to the vote? I think we all
I don't have a
appreciate-
question, but I can just say, Julie, that I'm grateful that you're on the design review committee and that the design review committee is working and doing things with us. Appreciate your input on everything.
Thank you.
So I'm glad.
I'd like to add, and this kind of makes me laugh. I don't like to think about it, but I've been on this board since 2005. So
Yes.
it's a little scary, but yes.
I think that's excellent. I move that the planning board reappoint Julie Riemenschneider to the design review committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Nick?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Sally?
Aye.
I-Ching?
Aye.
And Diop is aye as well. Thank you, Julie. Back to our regularly scheduled. So we do need to talk about town meeting articles.
But should we finish the conversation? Yeah, okay.
I don't know that we'll have time to finish the conversation this
Can I
evening.
suggest a wrap up and action plan?
I want to hear one thing from Mr. Foley. You wanted to say something. Could you say something quick?
Yeah, sure. I felt like the last time we met with the planning board, we got some good input. And one of the summaries that I had from that meeting is that we should still try to come up with something innovative, something creative, something that captured the feeling of the restaurant, and that we should feel comfortable with decorative elements on the building. And I feel like what's interesting, my grandfather built this building from a series of buildings, and he took a revolutionary role in developing the building. And what is ironic is that I think retail has to have a new face and a new energy. And so what we've tried to do is take some of the comments and the decorative elements in design one, perhaps we can tweak and make the panels slightly thinner, but I think design one is a much better design. I feel like design two, the left door competes with the center door and it's not as interesting. So we tried to take the direction from the planning board, feel free to work with decorative elements. And I feel like design one really brings new energy, which we dearly need. So we need to get moving. We want to, bring new energy to the center.
Okay, thank you. Sally, you were going to make a suggestion.
I was going to try to wrap up so that we could get to a next step. That what I'm hearing is support for both designs, and that the design review committee's recommendations don't support both. They support the one on the right, the traditional one. And also there was discussion of the discussion that Julie brought up about the round logo on the front And my suggestion that there be some kind of interesting artistic, and maybe it is just that panel on the wall, reflection of the Asian focus of the restaurant, but still honor and not overwhelm and not block features of the building. I do agree somewhat that the left door, the arched door, does unbalance that center of, but it's historic. So the next step would be, I think, for the proponent to come back with one more design that reflects a fusion of these two, if you will, no pun intended, to show to the planning board and the design review committee. That's what I think.
So let me try to write a few notes down here that might help. So I think that the design review's perspective is that leftmost door is important, and certainly we've heard. I think the majority, or at least, I mean, I'm going to say that from that perspective, it would probably be, as a compromise to move this forward, let's just say that the left door shouldn't be hidden. That's kind of what I'm.
I think the problem with, if you make us keep the left door, then it's very hard to work the panels. I think one compromise would be to put the cartouche design to the right of the right panel. But if you want to keep the left door, that left door is not really historic to anything. It was just part of my grandfather coming up with a scheme. These were all separate buildings. And so it seems ironic, but.
Oh, so that was the front door of that center house?
No, what happened is there's a misconception of this front. That left door was there. There was a large section of glass. This has been reworked like 12 different times. So nothing in this section really is quote unquote historical. It's just, how do we come up with a balanced design going forward? So that's why it seems so ironic. It's almost like I'm getting hurt by the fact that we have this beautiful building, but now when I want to bring something new, I'm sort of locked into certain elements that may or may not work with new restaurants, but it is what it is.
I wonder if it doesn't seem like the panel doors actually move, but as a compromise, could they move and close up so that they show the door that design review is so interested in when it's closed? Is that possible?
It's not operating door, it's just decoration.
Right, it's not operating, right, correct.
So,
but as a compromise, could it be operating?
But then you would essentially end up with what looked like a warehouse door when it's closed.
True. That is true.
And I want to say that Julie's comment about the barn door hardware being an interesting trend, it certainly doesn't seem to fit with a little commercial center. It's not a barn. It's an interesting way to hang doors, but it adds to my comment that the sliding doors are out of scale. So there are lots of ways to make culturally artistic and interesting things on the building. It doesn't have to be these massive metal panels on a barn door track. So that's why I was saying find a middle road. I think the panels are probably beautiful, and if they can be made, if something can be made to echo their artistry, but at a smaller scale and not on a barn door rail, that would be something I would challenge you to sketch up.
I do wonder whether or not we are not doing our duty here in letting this be as of right, but making certain, what's the term, reasonable accommodations for the applicants to do what they want to do. So with Mr. Foley's comments about this particular door being a disadvantage now to him, even though his grandfather had sort of not done that in a very considered way, and is what I'm hearing.
Like haphazard, not haphazard, but functional. It was a functional
Yeah.
expression, right?
Where now it has become such an important kind of barrier to what he would like to do with it now. And I think that that doesn't seem reasonable to me. But you know, this has been in front of us since September.
I know.
Yeah, and I don't get a sense of consensus from this board on which way to go. That's the problem. And we have to come to a decision.
But it
I
says,
have one question for us, and that it may help. If one were looking at these two designs, irrespective of what is there, what one might think, and you know, maybe we can thin up the panels to the left, and maybe we can add the cartouche to the left design. But it seems like me the left design is a lot more interesting, whereas the right design, the two doors really do compete. And if someone were just looking at this, regardless of what was there, I think one may lean towards the first one, the left design.
Yeah, Kevin, I think on the right design, the smaller door looks very subsidiary. I don't see them as competing, especially because the awning is over the main entry, and the main entry is framed by those windows. So I don't think it's
What's funny though,
ambiguous.
Now this restaurant, the left door that we are having so much focus on has essentially no function to it. It's just a decorative element that we would not have if it were there.
Right. I was interested, Mr. Foley, in if you knew why your grandfather put that doorway there. Was it perhaps an entrance to an upstairs apartment, or what was the reason for the door?
You know what? It was a very different design back then. There were different storefronts, and it was just part of the overall design. And unfortunately now we're sort of locked into trying to keep one particular door. But, you know, if you looked at our building, I would say 98% of it we've kept essentially identical. The problem I have is this restaurant, if you remember, was the Filene's. It is our anchor tenant. And I hate to see, you know, I think the design we have now is a lot worse than what we're proposing. You know, the TWK entrance was never new. The restaurant panel was never, the TWK was never there historically. The restaurant panel, all that brick from the left edge of the TWK to essentially where the real estate, that's all infill. So I think what I was trying to say to all of us is, it's sort of like this one little area we can create what should be the best balance. We have a lot of charm in this building. I've got to have a restaurant that functions and works well. This restaurant space is turned over several times. Karma is going to devote a ton of energy. And I think it is important to give it a front that matches its style and energy. So we'll do what we need to, but I feel like, you know, the design that you're looking at now is not historical. It's not great what was there. I think the left design is the best one, but if, you know, we've got to get moving. So I'm trying to do the best thing for the town.
Well, can you show the planning board a third design that, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, would be some kind of a reduced scale expression of the panels, and something that meets in the middle. It doesn't have to be completely traditional, in my mind.
Well, I think the design we would come up with is we would, and I want to get feedback in advance just so that we don't waste time. The panel doors would essentially look very similar to what you're looking at, because you'd want to have the panel essentially block the door. So we could maybe make it slightly thinner both
Oh, I
sides.
see what you're saying, that you need that to block the door.
Correct. Yep. And
Because the door would not be removed.
correct.
And that was because the door is part of a historical building.
And it's not really, I don't call it historic, but I know what you're talking about. It was just part of
Well,
what.
that's why I was asking the question about functionality, and
Yeah, it has no function. That's why I feel like we're getting hurt by this.
I think I have
one
to
door.
defer to others.
Yeah.
I just want
It has no function right now to the restaurant. It has no function to the upstairs. It's just a decorative element on the street.
But unfortunately, it is on the street, and that's part
Yeah.
of the this whole consideration is what
I
it looks
understand.
like to the street. So I really want us to move forward on this. There is this huge tension between these two designs. I definitely tend more towards the one on the left. I know that from a design review committee, and certainly Nick is definitely more towards the one on the right. Kurt seems to be okay with either. Sally is
I'm looking for a middle ground.
looking for a middle ground. I think the biggest thing that's going to come up here is what happens to that leftmost door. I think there's
So what's nice is we're never planning to take that away. Maybe what Iverson and I can do is just have his architect thin up the two panels left and right, and perhaps by adding the cartouche or that round logo, that could be a compromise. So maybe we get some feedback on that.
but your panel would still visually remove the door.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, you either remove it or you don't. So you would never go halfway. You're either blocking it, but you're not removing it. It's still in the building. So
I know, but
Really up
we're
to the
just,
historical commission, Diab, to whether somebody removing that door could do that, because it's a permanent change.
and they were
it's-
fine with it. They
Yeah,
like both
I mean,
designs.
when I say remove, I just mean visually. It's the visual
Yeah.
appearance. I understand that you're not going to physically
Correct.
remove the door.
Yeah.
So the question is, I mean, it seems to be an important element of design reviews recommendation that the panel on the left intrudes too much on the businesses to the left, and it obscures, let's use the word obscures, the door. I think that's I don't know how if you make the panels thinner, you will not intrude as much to the left. You will obscure the door. I don't think there's any, if you want to have a balanced panels around that center entrance, I don't know how you can not obscure the door.
Correct.
So the question.
Really, do they have to be balanced?
You're asking me,
think-
I think that the big heavy panels hanging on that structure are just not, I mean, part of the, just had the thing up, the regulations up, and it says that like no building should be its own statement and that it should blend with the downtown. And I mean, part of the draw of having a restaurant in the downtown is it's beautiful, quaint downtown. And people are going to go there. They come to Winchester residents and stuff. So if you detract from that quaintness of the downtown by having a architectural statement that is not, conforming to the historic downtown, then I don't know. So that's my feeling on it. And I'm not sure that like just reducing the panel, and I do feel sorry for the applicant because it's I mean, I know my family's in the restaurant business and this costs a lot of money, like not being able to open and going through all this stuff. So I mean, we've said, I mean, what we feel, and really the door, it doesn't really detract that much from in the second option, it's a wood door. It's rendered glass, but right now it's wood. And in the second version, there's more glass, so you get more, lively and more transparency between the restaurant and the street. So one of those panels is going to take away the door, but it also takes away some of that, the glass between the street and the business. So, I mean, I don't know, what any other compromise, I mean, just kind of drawing it out, and I feel like it's, yeah, so that's my feeling.
So to summarize that you don't want to see the doors at all, and that the one on the right is consistent with the language of the design code, and I have to look for it specifically, but that things should not be standing out. Things should blend in, and they should be expressive of what's already here in our town center, because people come here to see that.
Right. And I think, these awnings, like if they are copper and they can have an oriental like pagoda like shape to them, like the awnings actually I think would be a lot nicer and a lot more unique than just any of the awnings in the downtown.
Yeah, we're not going to go with the copper awnings. Those won't work.
So yeah, and they can be shaped so that they have like an oriental kind of roof line, like a pagoda or something. But that's
use the word oriental.
This was all part of the discussion of the design review committee. So
also, what Julie was saying was what I was trying to get at, that like you were saying, maybe put the cartouche back, maybe there's something else. If you take the one on the right and you keep it and you make the shape of the awnings expressive of some Asian architecture, and I don't want to be specific about that because I don't know enough, but and then the space between the two is your cartouche or whatever really beautiful, expressive, properly scaled artifact can go on there to say that this is where you are now, you're at Karma, and keep the left door, and that's it. And I think that
I want to emphasize Mr. Foley's point about being a business, and this particular area has had a couple of restaurants that really invested heavily in this space and did not succeed. And because we are, what are we, 94% residential tax base, and trying to increase the business vibrancy of our downtown, we critically need that. And as a planning board, I think, yes, we do consider the aesthetics heavily. That is a great deal, and appreciate design review for doing that. But we are also a board that has to consider the other aspects of economic vitality of our town, and to be more business friendly, because this is sorely lacking in our downtown. And I think that we should certainly listen to the landlord and business investors here and be more, I think, lenient and to defer to them to decide how they want to run the business. And I think that the front door is a critical point for inviting folks in. And I really think that to keep nipping at this and to keep, sort of bring so many cooks in the kitchen to water this down is not economically friendly. I don't think it's good for our town to do that, continue to do that. I think that, and I think you missed this conversation, Julie, last time, but the 1930s architecture is inherently devoid of Asianness, because Asian folks were federally excluded from this country. So, but the fact that this town already is 15% or more Asian, and sort of the idea of Asianness in town isn't incongruous in this spot is pretty hurtful. And I, I respectfully sort of disagree with its fittingness. And it,
Can I just add something with regard to the architecture?
so, so,
Wait, can we let Yicheng finish and then? you
so
can jump in
therefore, I
next?
think we should really listen, have, really be a little bit more accommodating to the businesses here.
I would just like to add something about the architecture. I feel that whatever architecture we have in the town is the inheritance of all of us, no matter who we are, Black, South Asian, South European. And I kind of object to the idea of a particular architecture being connected to a particular race or ethnic group. But I do, I guess that being said, I do sympathize certainly with this process and with the applicant and with all that is going on. It does seem like a tortuous process. Having stated my position, I do wish to find an avenue to move forward on the overall outcome here.
Okay, I don't know how to move forward on this. I mean, I will be completely honest that I do not consider the town center quaint. I think it's a hodgepodge of styles. I don't know what uniform way of looking at the downtown is. Every time we've seen a project come into the downtown which tries to find a style to emulate, they go around, they find 6 different buildings, they all have different styles. There's a scale to the downtown, but this isn't changing the scale of the downtown. But
may I make a motion?
Yeah, let's make let's see.
I would like to move that we would ask Mr. Foley and Mr. Guo to come back with a third rendering for the facade of this restaurant that is as respectful as it can be to the drawing on the right, but introduce an Asian influence artifact on the facade of the building to the right scale that brings a cultural interest to the center of the town and speaks to the Asian fusion menu inside. And I would like to make the motion that they present that drawing to us and the Design Review Committee and the Historical Commission, if the Historical Commission needs to see it, they may, and that we give it one more go and try to get that done by June or May.
Oh,
Lord.
I'm going to say we can't kick the can down the road. This board is the one that has to make the decision. I understand, Sally, you're trying to get everyone's input, but this
I'm
is
trying
the
to find a
board.
compromise that honors all the good points that everybody's making.
We have the input from, I understand what you're saying, but we can't have it go through another round with the DRC and the Historical Commission. It's not fair to applicants.
Motion withdrawn.
Well, no, I think we should consider the first part, I think, is a good one. And I don't know what timescale to do that on. I think that we aren't going to come to a consensus on design at this meeting with these 2 designs. I think but I'd have to.
So therefore, come back with another design, come to the planning board. And if we feel the need to send it out to other boards, we would or would not if we didn't.
I mean,
feel
the other
to
option
do
is
so.
we can
Is that what
take a
you're saying?
vote tonight. We could take a vote tonight and see whether there's a majority for either of these designs.
Okay, let's do that.
I mean, that's an option. I don't know that that's, so the option is
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve scheme A. Is that what we're calling A1? What are we calling these?
Let's call it
A1,
A1 and A2.
I make a motion to approve scheme A1 for petition. I'm sorry.
I don't know that this one was given a petition number.
Yeah, it's just
This
14.
is just 14 Thompson Street.
14 Thompson Street.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have, nominally, we would have discussion on the motion. I think we've discussed this a lot, so I don't.
I
think-
agree.
So, so the motion is to approve A1. So why don't we do a roll call vote? Nick,
So out of deference to design review, I'm gonna vote nay.
okay, so Nick, so we have one against. Kurt,
Aye.
okay, Sally,
Nay.
okay, I Ching,
Aye.
and Dia says nay, because I want to see some tweaks to that design. Okay, now, do we have a motion, another motion on the table?
What would that be?
I
we do
make a
approve
motion to
A2?
approve A1
A2,
and with some tweaks.
oh, A1 with tweaks, okay. I think we might want to say something about what those tweaks are.
Okay, so in response to design review comments, dated whatever the last, February 8th, 2023, reasonable accommodations to their comments, 1 through 9.
And how do we call, what do we mean by reasonable accommodation?
Well, isn't that the sort of,
So those are the reasons we supported A2.
correct, but the crowding to the shop to the left, right? That can be accommodated. This one I do not understand. The decorative entrance in A1 is out of proportion with the window to the right of it. I don't see a window to the right of it. Is it this window?
I think no. I think what it meant was that, like Salon Aesthetica, the next door down. I think it was that.
Oh, yes, I see that.
That's
Point.
to the left of it. Well,
Okay.
Is that right?
okay.
I know, I see it's crowding and out and disproportionate too. Is that what you mean?
I think that's what that comment was supposed to mean.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is it disproportionate? How's
Well,
it disproportionate? It looks like there's a transom window or a sign over the salon that almost lines up with the proposed transom window. I'm trying to understand the mismatch on.
It's the big panels and the large hardware.
So it sounds like maybe one suggestion to the applicant would be remove the whole barn door hardware. That might, I think, 'cause I know the design review committee, I think, also didn't favor that. So perhaps just having the panels mounted directly to the wall and eliminating the barn door hardware would be a way to bridge the gap as well.
I think that's a great idea. Eliminate overhead barn door hardware. I think that floating panels would be really interesting, but overhead
And then
barn door
perhaps too, like
hardware.
shrinking the size of the panels down just enough so they cover the door on the left and you don't see like a partial door, but perhaps they leave a little bit more space between the salon entrance so it doesn't feel like they're overcrowding. That might also solve for one of the other comments from design review.
This one was interesting to me in that A2 hides less of the brick, but then adds the glass. So is it the glass that design review wants highlighted or the brick?
So they thought it was an advantage of A2 that there's more glass because of the transparency looking into the restaurant, and it enlivens the street. So even though there's more glass, I mean, it is a wider opening, but it's just the glass, it has more of a benefit than having the panels.
So the compromise on that would make the panels smaller, but you would still end up covering some of the glass.
I guess, so just I mean, this is really difficult to, so the problem with making the panel smaller is that you either have to cover that door or not cover the door.
Mhm. Yep.
So I don't think the door is that much of a distraction. It's painted, it's wood. But if you make the panel to the left more narrow, it's only going to partially cover the door. So it will look a little strange.
Right.
Yeah, I have no idea how big the panel has to be. Is it because of the molding at the top, which juts to the left and right of the frame of the door? Is that what makes the panel so wide? Because the door itself looks much narrower than the panel.
Well, you're going to see the door behind it when you're walking by if it's really too narrow. But I mean, one thing is the door to the right that's under the arch is also kind of orphaned, Mr. Foley, in your design, is it not?
No, what happens is if you look at the arch that reflects left and right, those two have symmetry. The door to the left, I think the best compromise if we're going that route would be, you could have some type of hardware up above that maybe drops down to the top of the transom and gets thinner. And maybe you reduce the size and scope of that. And then the doors could probably get, maybe 3 to 6 inches thinner, maybe it's 6 inches thinner or 9 inches thinner, the whole panel. If you look at the right where the door is, maybe there's a foot or so. The keystones on the transom up above, I seem to be the key. You want to get beyond the door and probably that fan light. So it looks like he could be just to the left edge of the keystone on the left of the door, correct? So that you might gain 6, 8, 9 inches, I'm guessing.
I think that is heading towards the notion of compromise that we're struggling to get to.
Sure, and then I think also for interest, I don't have a problem, and I think Iverson and I can talk a bit about it, but the cartouche in the middle where the brick is between the right panel and the right glass may create some interest. So I think it is important to have sort of the unity of some type of hardware above the panels, but we could reduce the panels and width-wise and height-wise slightly.
Why do you need hardware? I'm sorry.
I think it may look a little odd if the panels just float, but we could certainly look at that. And again, the hardware could be just simply decorative, but I think having a black single line that maybe is half of the width it is now, I think does tie the whole design together. But we can certainly talk with our designer and see if we need any hardware at all. The hardware would be strictly decorative. So we may or may not need that.
Okay, so.
Hugh, I just want to let you know I've joined the meeting via phone, just to let you know.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay. Let me let you in.
Well, I'm here. I'm in because I'm talking with you by the phone. I think.
That's Nick. Somebody must have let you in. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
So the motion so far is A1, eliminate or minimize the overhead barn door hardware. Or let's just call it minimize the overhead. What do we want to call this?
Hardware.
Minimize overhead hardware or appearance, because it may not be hardware, but we don't want like a really thick bar up there.
I think if you call it hardware, we know what you're talking about.
Okay, minimize overhead hardware over panels. Let's call them panels. Shrink panels so not to crowd the neighboring shop to the left. I think the design review's comment about the window being blocked, I think is one, I don't know how you deal with that. It's just, if you put a panel there, you're going to block the windows.
Correct, but I think that would be a compromise.
What would be the compromise? That you would keep the decorative panels and sacrifice the view into the restaurant from the sidewalk? Is that the compromise?
Yeah, I think what's important to note now too, the kitchen now, if you look on Thompson Street, what is ironic, where the windows are now, the kitchen is essentially blocking any view into the kitchen. What we're proposing now is the windows, while are perceived as being less windows, it's going to be a lot more interesting because the restaurant will be, the kitchen is shifting from the front of Thompson Street to the back towards the river. So it seems ironic that the windows now, are being essentially fully blocked by a kitchen, where the windows we're presenting are going to be a lot more interesting. It'll be the front of the restaurant versus the back of the restaurant.
Well,
And the compromise is the two panels left and right would get thinner and slightly lower, slightly less tall.
So I think had the placement of that equipment in front of the window come before the planning board, we would have said, don't do that. So the fact that it's there right now is not indicative of any approval of that, the way it looks now.
No, and I understand, but what is ironic in our quote unquote historical view of it, that's what the history of the building is. The kitchen is essentially right against the doors. And by us trying to improve it, it seems like we're getting hurt now.
Well, so can you have a motion on the table, is that right or no?
Dia was talking about the changes, the tweaks to.
Yeah, I just have the two tweaks.
Okay.
Minimize overhead hardware over panels, shrink panels, so not.
Are we gonna add the little rounded whatever cartouche?
Adding the cartouche, add the
And
cartouche.
Iverson, are you good with the cartouche, the round logo to where on the second design, it has Karma Asian Fusion. One idea is to put like a logo or a cartouche there.
Yeah, we do have the full circle one,
Yeah.
logo. Yeah.
So I'm good with that.
Okay, so the cartouche would be to the right of the doors.
Correct.
Okay.
So
is there anything more you wanted to add to your motion, Ichin?
Let me see. Is there anything else here in the design review commission?
I think that
comments
7, 8, and 9 were all about the cartouche.
Mm-hmm.
Scrolling.
So again,
That's it.
we're all agreed we like the cartouche. So I think 7, 8, and 9 don't need to be addressed, or they
Okay.
have been addressed because we all agree on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's it, I guess.
I mean, those are, so the motion we have on the floor is, again, A1 with minimized overhead hardware over panels. Panels are shrunk so as not to crowd neighboring shop to the left. And add a cartouche to the right of the doors. That is the motion as it stands.
And do we care about the color of the awning or the shape of the awning?
It's the same shape as this one, but the
So
black
the-
seems to.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
would propose the black awning as seen.
Okay,
And you said the
I'm cool
copper
with that.
wasn't possible because is that a price thing or a design thing or?
We realized that it would not work with the historic, quote unquote, the historic elements of the building. We think the awnings work better with what's there.
I'm okay with them.
Okay, so this would retain. Okay, so we would, so
Both
since
black
this is
awning.
A1, so we don't have to say anything about the awning because it is as is in A1.
Right.
Okay, so that is the motion.
Okay, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And that was Kurt?
That was Kurt.
What is design review? What side is design review taking in this?
They don't have, at this time now, Nick, it's just us.
We are the permit granting authority for the exterior
Okay,
changes.
I'm just trying to. I'm on the fence as to, but it sounds like we're on our way, no matter what. So.
Well, this motion can
Okay.
fail. We still need to take a vote on it. But at this point, the motion is on the floor. We have a first and a second. So if there is, we need to vote on it.
Okay, well, anyway, proceed. Sorry, I'm on the,
Yeah, if you're on the fence,
anyway.
I understand that. Yeah, but,
Okay.
so
Proceed.
let us, is there any discussion on the motion?
Just a clarifying question. The motion is to approve the design of one or A1, the lower left corner of our screens, with the conditions or the modifications that you recited a moment ago, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and you're looking for a yes or no vote.
Or if you want to have another motion to amend, I mean, if we do
Well,
this by
I mean-
Robert's rules, where the motion is on the floor, it's been seconded, so it's up for a vote or up for amendment.
I would simply say that I would vote that I would want to see that rendered and illustrated, because I don't want to count on my own pre-visualization skills before we make a final decision. And we can do that quickly. We can get it into the agenda March 7th or whatever.
So you would move to add a condition that
That they show it to us.
Okay, so your amendment is to require petitioner to return with new design. And then we would say for final disposition, because it's not fair to keep going back and forth.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If we like that, go with it.
And if we don't like that, I mean, this is the thing, is that if
Well,
it comes back to this.
to me,
Yeah,
Nick?
I'm thinking that I want to stick with my position, but I'm very eager to see this go forward, and I'm very excited to have the restaurant in town.
Me too, me too.
Okay, so the amendment is to require petitioner to return with new designs.
So that we can see them and vote in support. Oh, and presumably vote in support. I can't, I
See,
mean.
that's the problem, is the amendment says we're going to approve it with conditions that we might not approve it at our next vote, which kind of seems counterproductive.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, I understand
So with
your,
so the motion stands that we are voting to approve it with the modifications that you described.
yeah, I mean, the
All right, I would say,
the way to get what you would want would be to, if this motion gets voted down, then we could go and talk about something else.
okay, then I vote nay.
Okay, so you're not gonna go for that amendment.
You're withdrawing, is that
You're
right?
withdrawing the amendment.
No, I thought that I was
This is a
voting
vote for the
on
whole
the
thing.
motion.
No, we're still, so I was trying to craft an amendment.
Oh,
for
the
you.
amendment I'm in favor of, yes, aye.
Okay, so the amendment is still there, which is to have them come back in a week, at some certain time with a new design. Is there a second for that amendment?
So having heard none, I can withdraw the motion.
Well, the amendment.
I
The
can
amendment-
withdraw the amendment, thank
Well, the
you.
amendment
Yeah,
dies
Benny,
because it doesn't get a
Yes,
second.
amendments died, so now we're back to the original
So
motion.
now we're back to the original motion. Is there any more discussion on that motion?
And the motion
yeah,
is to approve the one on the left, right?
yeah, my
Somebody-
sorry, this is Kurt. My only question was, and perhaps it's merely for the applicant, and sorry if I missed it earlier, but I mean, would the applicant prefer that we just approve one of these as opposed to being asked to come back? I'm trying to understand the applicants. Like if we said to the applicant, like, you need to go back and do another round of drawings here and come back to us, like, is that a preferred outcome, or is just approving A2, which I think is their least preferred rendering, is that preferential because they just want to move forward and get something done?
I think the concise way of looking at it is our strong preference is A1, and we're happy to do a slight tweaking of it. we don't love to, it seems very watered down. If we're forced to go in that direction, I would hate to see the restaurant fail because we had a watered down version of what we really wanted.
Mhm.
Okay, so that,
Can you repeat the motion, please?
okay, the motion is approve A1, minimize the overhead hardware over the panels, shrink the panels so as not to crowd the neighboring shop to the left, add the cartouche to the right of the doors.
So moved. Was
No,
that
it's
already
been
moved?
moved.
It's been moved.
It's
So then
already
I say
been
aye.
moved. It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, then I say aye.
We haven't started opening the voting yet. We're just doing
thought we already-
discussion. No, you proposed an amendment, then the amendment didn't go forward. Kurt had a question of the proponent. The question was answered. Now the question I have is, is there any more discussion on the motion? If there is no more discussion, then we can move to a vote. Okay, hearing no discussion, let us move to the vote. Okay, in no order except what Zoom has decreed. Nick.
I'm going to say nay.
Okay. Who's next on the list? Kurt.
Aye.
Sally.
Aye.
I Ching.
Aye.
And Diab says aye as well. Okay. So we have a motion. You have direction. I want to thank everyone. I do want to thank the DRC. I know that this is probably not what they wanted to have happen. It does, it seems like a result like this might seem like we are rejecting their work, and I don't know how to say that that isn't the case.
I would say we're really incorporating everyone's ideas, so we're happy to see this move forward.
Oh, you're happy. I'm just talking about from the DRC's perspective.
No, but
The
I feel,
DRC
but I
has spent-
feel like their input has been important, so I appreciate everyone's view, and we definitely respect their view and your view.
Yes, yeah. I was actually speaking from the point of view of the planning board.
I understand.
Yeah,
This
so
is Nick. I'm really glad to see it move forward, and you know, I think that we've had our discussion, and you know, I think
I just want to I just want the DRC to know that they are valued participants in this process, regardless of the outcome. And that's just the one thing I don't think the DRC feels like they are as valued as they really are. And a decision like this from the board, which it's, well, that's my say in the matter. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, I just, I mean, I understand this. I don't know. I can't really speak for all the board members, but we're making our decisions based on our design, based on a design review, right? We're not like looking at the economics. We are looking at the codes and interpreting, what we feel, how the applications meet the codes. But we do look at design. So, and the same thing when we give recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeal, I mean, we understand that they're making their decisions, based on the legality and their interpretation of the bylaws. So it's, so, I mean, you have other things to consider than just the design. And you have a difference of opinion on the design in this project, but yeah, we do spend a lot of time though, so.
We know you do, and we really appreciate it. I mean, it's you do. I say yeoman's work, but I have no idea where that comes from, so it's probably archaic. But yeoman's work, I don't even know how you pronounce it. But anyway, it is really, really appreciated. So, so we come to the fact now, back to the planning board part of the meeting, which is, I guess, the whole thing. We are way off on our agenda. And we do have some significant issues to talk about moving forward with our town meeting articles, in particular 355. I hope you all saw there was a memo that was sent out for a set of opinions from the ZBA about 355. I was at the ZBA meeting last Thursday and I spoke before them. We don't have time right now to discuss that because we're almost half an hour over our time, but we have a really hard deadline of March 10th, which requires us to get something to the town clerk.
Can we call a meeting, a short meeting, like 45 minutes on July, excuse me, on, I wish it
Sure,
was July,
July's
no.
great.
No, February 28th.
A short meeting. You are so optimistic.
Ever.
Ever. So what we have to talk about. Okay, first of all, how does the rest of the board feel about having another meeting in a week's time to go over this? Is this a possibility?
I can join.
Okay. Is
It was
Yi-Ching?
Kurt.
That was
Yeah,
Kurt. Yeah.
yeah, that I can tell.
Yes,
Yi-Ching, you can make it in a week?
yes.
Nick, are you back amongst the freezing? Nick, I think we lost Nick.
Yes, yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, that is fine. And
Okay.
I said it's a possibility, which means I think yes.
Then we can, so would you prefer to have it at 7 or 7:15? I would, whatever your schedule permits. If you want it earlier, we can do it earlier.
Can we just do 7:15 since we're moving all the meetings to 7:15?
So
Okay,
let's,
good.
so 7:15 on March the, sorry, February the 28th. We will discuss zoning bylaw 355. And hopefully you'll seen the comments from the ZBA. I will write up my understanding from what I took away from that meeting and circulate it.
Okay, good.
We also have to talk about the procedure for the town planner selection process. You saw the memo that I sent around. It's gone through town council. Town council says you can't do it that way. We cannot do an initial short list in private that has to be public because we did not set up a search committee. One learns these things. So we will have, that will be in public. And I will, because we were going to do that in private, I think it is now, we can now make, I will send around, and one of the things I want to ask is how to send around all of the resumes so far, since they'll be made public. I can arrange with Suzanne to put it in a Dropbox. We can put them there. I've got them in emails. I have them in a zip file, but I don't know if that's easy for you to read.
When you say public, are you saying that it becomes a public document that, I'm just going to choose a submitted six people submitted their resume for a job? What if they expected some confidentiality in doing that?
That is,
I don't understand that.
this is why this is a good question. And my approach was colored by the town manager's search, where the initial set of people went through a private discussion. And then those who were selected had the option of withdrawing before it went public if they wanted to protect their position that they're at after further thought. That is not available to us. So your question, what happens when if we have to discuss them in public, they have to go public.
Yeah, so I let me just say there's something that seems a little bit just sort of really unfamiliar to this arrangement to me, because I mean, I know that we have open meeting law, but I guess I've just never been involved in a municipal hire before. And when you hire someone for a municipal post, whatever it is, that you put out a job application, you get resumes, I mean, a job description, you get resumes back. Whoever is reviewing those resumes sits down and says, yeah, you know, we came up with these three. You guys agree? And they all say, yeah, we agree it's these three, and you bring them all in. That doesn't have to be, quote, public. I mean, it can be open meeting law. Yes, people can attend by Zoom or in person, but it's not,
So you're saying that the discussion can be public, but the documents,
I don't
the
know. I guess
actual
maybe I just have to go
resumes
back
might
what I
not
just
be?
said. I've never been involved in a municipal hire.
So I know there are a couple classes of documents which are some of the documents, any document which is, I believe, referenced during an open meeting becomes public.
Well, it would make sense to me that that would be the case, yes.
So it's really hard to
And
come
what
up
you're
with a
saying is
way-
that our town council has said we have to do it that way.
Yeah, so let me get
Okay.
back to town council and ask exactly how we handle the resumes. And I will talk to him this Thursday. So this is something that I have run out of bandwidth over the last couple of weeks.
Right, and we need to get
So-
moving on this, just like
Yeah,
Carla.
so what I will do is I will circulate them to the planning board, and I would ask that you hold on to them until I get something from town council, which indicates how we handle those documents.
And
There
you
is-
can get it to us by a Dropbox link. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I will come up with something. It may be possible to just send it to you via email. I don't know
Oh,
how large they are. But I just, so let me ask town council how we handle it. It's a delicate issue. And I've never been in this sort of a hire either, so. But we have had, I believe the count is up to. No, I forget what the count, it's like 6. I don't think we're beyond 6.
Well, we're all eager
Yeah,
to read.
and to be honest, I have not had any chance to look at them after the first couple.
Yeah.
So we're all in the dark the same amount, because I just have had zero bandwidth.
Mhm, mhm.
And I can't find it anymore, so, oh, yeah. I was about to send you, okay, so we'll deal with that next time, so that's on our agenda. And, so
So will that be on the agenda also on the
well,
28th?
yes, because the
Okay.
28th, I believe, is, if not the last day, or very close to the closing of the period.
Of the warrant.
No, of the job opening period. So it's a good time to
Oh, good.
finalize.
Okay, excellent.
And if
Good.
you have any comments on the procedure, let me know. Okay, so at this point, I would really love to hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Yes, second.
Excellent. All in favor, Kurt,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
I Ching,
Aye.
Sally.
Aye.
We are adjourned for 1 week. Thank you very much to Nancy Polcari, to WinCam, to Brian Mantor, and to everyone out there in TV land. We will see you in a week. Have a great week and a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
Recording